Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my wine channel. Today I'm doing another video in my Bordeaux Basics series, and this time I'm doing a video on the region of Sauternes. Let's start with basically the location of Sauternes. So Sauternes is located about 40 kilometers or 25 miles southeast of the city of Bordeaux, and it's along the Garonne River and its tributary, the Ciron. And what makes it special and unique is that the Ciron has cooler waters than the Gironde in the autumn. And because of that hot and cold water, there creates a mist. And that mist is kind of goes over the vineyards, and then from evening to late morning, and then it dries out in the sunshine. And that creates kind of a noble rot, which is Botrytis. It's a rot called Botrytis cinerea, and that really helps the grapes dry and rot in a certain way. It's kind of funny because the rot must be, or the grapes must be fully ripe when it rots, or else it just becomes bad rot, right? So if the grape is not developed and it rots, it's just terrible. But if the grape is fully ripe and the rot develops, and that's late in the season, then it becomes noble rot. So it's a very unique condition that only occurs in this region. And I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future, because with global changes, will that change everything? But right now it still occurs, and it's very unique. And this is why the Sauternes region is so unique. So the three types of grapes that are generally grown in Sauternes region, the most predominant is Semillon grape. And the Semillon grape, why it is really good for Sauternes and for the noble rot, because it has really thin skins, so it's easily infected by this noble rot. And what Semillon adds is really texture to the Sauternes wine. The other significant predominant grape is Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is less prone to noble rot, but it's got that acidity, it's got that crispness. So that is also needed. And then the last type is Muscadel. And you'll see less and less Muscadel, because Muscadel is actually really hard to grow. It's really hard to get noble rot on it, and it has very low yields. So, and it's very prone to diseases. So it's kind of, I think it's really good if you can add it. It's got this light floral aroma, but again, it's so much trouble and it's so much hassle that it's so finicky that people is like, no, it's too hard. So I don't see many producers use Muscadel anymore. So it's mostly Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc, and it's predominantly Semillon, and that gives the ageability to the wine. Sauternes is comprised of 5 communes: Barsac, Sauternes, Bommes, Fargues and Preignac. And I always thought that Barsac was a lesser region to Sauternes, but in fact it's just one of the communes in Sauternes, and likewise there's a commune called Sauternes in Sauternes, so it's kind of confusing. Barsac has decided to kind of promote its own region, and I don't think there's a lot of difference, but in general, Barsac wines might be a little bit more acidic and a little bit lighter body, but honestly, I've never been able to tell a difference. But because Barsac kind of gets a lower grade than Sauternes, a lot of the Barsac wines will put Barsac and also Sauternes on their labels together. There's not really an exact regulation exactly how sweet wine has to be a Sauternes. They have the minimum alcohol level of 13%, and they have to pass a tasting exam that the wines are notably sweet. Sometimes what will happen is that in years that there isn't the right conditions to produce this noble rot, there won't be enough of Sauternes produced, and so the wineries will make white wines instead. And actually you're seeing that more and more with wineries. Even Decem is making a white wine. The reason being is Sauternes are a bit out of style, and people think that they can make more money with white wines, and that's just the market right now. It's just not, people are not appreciating Sauterne wines, and so, you know, it's hard for producers to really make a lot of money, and it's much easier for them to produce white wines. So it's simpler, it's actually easier for them to do that. And in fact, because the way Sauterne is produced with a noble rot, you actually get very little juice per grape because it's dried. So it takes a lot more vines to produce a bottle of Sauterne than it does a white wine. The wonderful thing about Sauterne is that you'll see it change in color, and I've got a couple in front of me. You'll see them, they're starting to noticeably change in color. When they start off very young, they actually are kind of almost clear or a little bit yellowy, but you can see most of these are now a little bit more on the orange side of things. So, and I think this is the, yeah, so this is 2011, this is 2009, and then this is 2003. So you'll see kind of the colors. I think it's hard to see again because I'm under a little bit of a bright light here, but you'll, at least for me, they developed this really orangey color, which is really attractive. Here are the Sauterne wines, and you can just example. So this is Ciron, which is Premier Cru, or the first class, first growth wine. You see the color of that. This is Riosec, which is also a Grand Cru, Premier Grand Cru. And you can either have the one or the Premier, the words. And this is Swazi Vedran, which is just a Grand Cru, so I would think this is a second growth wine. It doesn't say Premier, so that's why it'd be second. So you can just see the color difference a little bit. The one in the middle, Riosec, is the oldest. The entire region of Sauterne produces about 480,000 cases of wine a year. And if you compare that to Saint-Emilion, which produces about 2.4 million cases, and Pomerol, which is 70,000 cases. So it's not a lot, but not too little either. So Sauterne also was classified in 1855, and in fact, it was a preferred wine at that point. There was a lot of people that really liked kind of a sweeter style wine, and it was a much more developed taste palette. So at the top of the heap is Chateau d'Yquem, which is the Premier Cru Superior, which is the only designated Premier Cru Superior in Sauterne or the left bank wine. So it was obviously judged as a far in superior wine, and today it still is. I mean, it's clearly heads and shoulders above every other Sauterne wine, and I'm fortunate to have a chance to drink that, and you'll see that in an upcoming video where I did taste the 2007 Chateau d'Yquem. Then there is the Premier Cru, of which there are 11, and then there is the second cru, which is there are 14, and I'll list those in the comment section. In general, I've found that Sauternes are great. I don't see many bad Sauternes, quite frankly. So the trend is, unfortunately, that Sauternes are very underappreciated, and this is a trend that has kind of been going on for almost like a century now, right? And hopefully they'll kind of have a comeback a little bit, because I think part of the reason is that it's treated as a sweet wine, and that's equated to be a dessert wine. But if you go back a century, Sauterne was served as an appetizer wine, and that's when I was in France and in Bordeaux. That's what they were telling me, that, you know, it's really a very versatile wine, and it's kind of silly to serve it with dessert. In fact, it kind of defeats the purpose, because Sauterne are sweet wines, and if you serve a sweet dessert with them, it's kind of doesn't really, it kind of clashes. It really goes with much fattier food, so foie gras and other light things like salads. It's perfect with. It's a perfect little palate cleanser, and just to begin the appetite, because it is got some acidity, it's got some sweetness, it's got you salivating. So actually it's, you know, it's better to kind of serve it at the beginning of the meal, and then if you have some left over, to serve it right at the end, to finish off your night. That's after the dessert, maybe instead of coffee. So hopefully that trend will develop and people will appreciate it. It's really, in my opinion, undervalued and underpriced, because if you think about it, it takes so much to produce a Sauterne, and they're so lovely, and it really is, for the quality of wine that you're getting, it's actually not that expensive, and it can also age quite a long period of time. So I really hope that that trend kind of goes the other way, and that people start to really appreciate Sauterne wines and drink them. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy drinking.